All right, welcome my friends. We are going to create some fabulous maybe folk style, torn paper collaged chickens or roosters today. And this one, if you notice, he is up against a painted paper background. It looks like it was blue, had some bubble wrap. I put some type of circle pattern in the background. And then I took white with probably a piece of cardboard, and I printed kind of a cage, like chicken wire. And if you look at his feathers are all torn paper. And what I noticed right off the bat is my favorite good old black and white polka dots. So you know that I just printed some to tear up to add to the one we're going to make today. You'll see yellow, there's orange, there's pink, there's a lot of red in here. That good old black and white carries through around this rooster's, I don't know, headdress, whatever this thing is that I put on him. This one has a blue eye with some white eyelashes, a funky crown up here, and there is some glitter glue in here scattered about. You can see a little bit of that glittery goodness in there, and there's paint pen work. So with further ado, we're going to get started. By now, you all should have a plethora collection of painted paper from previous projects, and I hope you're not throwing anything away. I think I'm going to use this green painted paper square. You can see there's, I don't know if you can see it, but there's bubble wrap. It's probably something I just had extra paint and I wiped my brush all over it. Okay, so that's going to be my background, just like the blue. So the first thing I'm going to do is I pulled out several painted papers. This one is kind of orange and blue mix. It's kind of funky. It looks more neon up in person. This one was yellow, pink, coral, red, and I think I used the yarn and splatted it. This one has pink and white mixture, some bubble wrap printing. This is yellow and it has scribbles of some face. Who knows what I was doing. I pulled out regular black that I had painted. I pulled out this fun leopard print, and this light may a little bit too distracting here. See if I can see it. Well, it's a leopard print and it's shiny, so that might be fun to work with as well. So the first thing you're going to do is, guess what? You're going to tear paper, and you're going to tear paper so that it looks like feathers. So you're not going to tear patches that are square. You want to take your little fingers and use them as scissors and tear some kind of long pieces. So when you tear, I always forget this, if you hold with your left hand and tear towards you, you'll get a white edge. If you hold, let's see, with your right hand and tear towards you, you're not going to get that edge. That edge is actually going to be on the reverse side of your paper. So there's the edge here, but it's not here. But if you hold, I don't know, I forget every time I do it. You're going to have to play with it. Sorry about that. But you're just going to use your fingers to guide you and tear a bunch of strips. It's much easier to create a project that has like a lot of little bits if you pre-tear them. Get them pre-prepped. It doesn't matter how you tear, which way you tear, just as long as they're all kind of uniform, because they are going to be feathers. You can look at your pieces and I might say, okay, I definitely want all that goodness of dots in there. So I'm gonna tear that little patch out, and I'm gonna work within the confines of that little patch right there. And you're ripping and you're tearing, and you use your fingers together. You can't just expect to tear one big, nice, beautiful feather. So I tell my kids, you have to kind of use your fingers as if they were a pair of scissors. And tear, tear, tear. And we will keep going. So there's some pink. I think I'm going to tear some black. I think that it will really pop with those black and white spots, the dots, spots. Chickens have spots, not dots. We'll add a little bit of this in to our feathered friend. Chicken, rooster, it could be whatever you want it to be. It could be a crazy parrot of sorts. Okay, now this is the one that has all the fun, what was that, yarn, when we did the, those fun wildflower gardens with spaghetti. It was spaghetti. Well, I say yarn. I may have done this with yarn. So we're ripping and tearing. This is kind of fun, especially if you want to make a lot of these all at once, which I suggest because you'll probably become addicted to them. You could sit there and just kind of watch TV and tear some paper. Tear, tear, tear. All right. And we said this one has that neon orange. It's hard to see on camera. And this is a much thicker paper. This was a mixed media paper. So when I go to stick it down, it probably will not behave as well as these other thinner, less heavy papers. I might not tear that one up. And of course, my favorite, that's just copy paper. And paper does have a grain to it. You will find when you tear it, like it wants to run to the side. Usually this is your grain. And your paper is vertical, straight up and down. If you've ever tried to rip newspaper into strips, like for paper mache for kids or something, you'll notice if you take it and just start to tear, it'll veer to one side or the other. Because it does have a grain, just like material. When you rip material, you can make a little cut and then tear. Alright, so feathers, feathers, feathers. This stuff right here, it is more difficult to tear because it kind of has like a plasticky covering. But as long as I can get it started, it's okay. You could use old wrapping paper. You could use some tissue paper that might have some, glittery dots on it or little specks, or party napkins that might have a little glitter or a little sheen to them, a little shine here and there. I just think it's fun to add it in. All right, so we have all these feathers, right? And we have a background. I'm gonna set in the cage later in the show, but we're gonna start mapping out this chicken, okay? And look at the shape of this baby, or rooster, whatever. I'll refer it to as both. Probably clucking by the end of this. It's basically a V, okay, with a non-pointy, whatever that thing is, right here. It's not pointed, it's rounded. So it's kind of like a U or a V. So that's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to kind of come up, and I'm going to come back down. And you can kind of see that with that light, all right? So come up and kind of come back down. You can add more for the head. I'm not really worried about where his beak is going to go or that crown thing. I'm not really concerned about that. We are going to be using the good old matte medium to lay in these feathers. I'm going to start with I'm going to start down at the bottom, and I'm going to lay in some matte medium, and then I'm going to start with my feathers, and you want to get them nice and coated. Remember, coat really good back and front, and like I said, if you use paper that is super thick, You can wet it a little bit first to let those fibers soften up before you put the matte medium on. These are all behaving pretty well right now, so I'm not really worried about it. And I am layering these feathers. Can you see that? And I'm pulling from the colors that we should kind of, okay, say shredded up, that we ripped up. Oh, here's some pink. Let's get that one in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to alternate where I think they would look good. And I'm going to fill in this chicken or rooster, what have you, working within the body shape. So you notice I'm not taking a feather and putting it perpendicular, okay? If you were to pet a chicken, you'd start at the head and pet that chicken or rooster down the feathers. You wouldn't like pet him or her up so that the feathers get all ruffled. Same thing. We want all of our feathers laying in the same direction. And that's pretty common sense. So we are going to layer and layer. And if you notice, some of these I'm not even putting matte medium on the back because I've got so much here. If you notice, I am overlapping these babies because I don't really care if all the green is covered up, but I am using the torn paper instead of paint to cover up the background. And sometimes you can play with these. You can say, oh, this one's got a really nice look to it. And it's going to kind of come around for the head right there. I like it. I like how it kind of sticks out a little bit. That'll work. So you can kind of play with these. Not that you can tear them in a perfect feather-like pattern, but you can kind of play with them when you lay them in. I'm going to start adding some of these black and white ones. I'm going to add a little bit down here. I'm going to let it go off my page. Now, I don't really like that harsh line right there, so I could come back in with another piece and just kind of disguise it a little bit. Here and there, here and there, there and here. And feel free to rip these if you need to, you know, kind of make them fit in an area. It is your chicken, rooster, whatever we're going to call this thing. All right, so I ripped this piece. Let's see. I might go this way with it. So when you start getting up here into the head, you could decide, I think I'm going to use that orangey color. I'm going to start laying in a lot of this orange just to set the head a little bit apart from the body. You don't have to do this at all. Remember, it's your funky chicken. And you can kind of manipulate the paper. Tear it a little bit if it is not right where you want it. Now, with this, you can also paint right over top of this matte medium, even if it's wet, even if it's still wet, that is okay. But after I get this laid out for you guys, I'm going to let this dry tonight really good. So when I revisit for the second part of this video, we're going to be putting in all the fun details, and I won't mess up my paint markers. I messed up a couple this weekend, just being impatient. I do love that black and white. That's so much fun. So fun. Scoot this up a little bit here so you can see this thing. And basically, you are filling in your lines, you know, your line that you drew, the shape of your little chicken rooster body. You can see how we're starting to take shape here. I'm okay, you know, with this line right here. It doesn't have to follow it. We can always paint around the background. That's perfectly fine. Let's see. I'm going to use some more of this black and white because I love it. I think I'm going to use it on the chicken's eye area. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some to where I know his or her eye is going to go. And I think I might add a little bit more orange to this crazy headdress we have going on here. Maybe even a little bit over here on this side. Make it kind of stick out a little bit. Like crazy rooster chicken hair day. Everybody's got a bad hair day. I might put like a few kind of coming out like that. Now, you could go ahead and rip the crown. Oh, what's that thing called? I don't even know what it's called. I forget. I know I'm saying it wrong. You could rip it out of a solid color, like maybe, oh, it's kind of a neon-y orange. You wanted to rip it. This is that really stiff paper, so I don't think I'm going to use it. I'm just kind of showing you because this isn't going to work very well. But you could tear that crown out if you wanted to. That's kind of cool. You could paint it. I am going to let this dry so I can go in and paint it in. And I'm going to think, now what am I going to do for the beak? I think I have some bright yellow right here. I might tear a little beak out. And this kind of looks like this beak wants to kind of point down a little bit, so I'm going to let it. I might rip some of this off so it's not so harsh. Let's see what this beak looks like on him. Oh yeah, there we go. There's my beaky beak. Perfect. If you wanted to layer another color on top of that eye, before you get into those fun paint markers, you can. I'm going to find some blue, I think. Let's see here. Here's some blue. So we don't really have any blue in this guy. Let's see if we can make it pop. We'll add a little black to it later on. Like I said, I'm going to tear. You can cut if you want. Right now I probably can't even find my scissors. Okay, so there's the blue. You can kind of see that little dot of contrast. Once this thing gets on here, he'll start to look more roostery. And I might even add a little bit more of this crazy foiled paper, just because it's fun. And like I said, I'm not really a fan of that sharp edge right there. So go back with a little scrapper scrap and add something over it just to disguise. And I'll add a little piece of that head color again right here. And let that sit right like that. Now, while you're waiting for this to dry, if you decided you wanted your background, I'm going to go ahead and add probably some more green around here. And just to cover up, I've got those pencil lines right there. I'm not worried about them. But this was just a piece of paper that I had hanging around. So I think I'm just going to I'm going to squeeze some green out of here if it wants to work tonight. Maybe not. Yep, there we go. And maybe just a little yellow. We'll mix that, make it kind of a little bit of a limey green. And I still have matte medium on my brush. So I'm just going to kind of go around here. I can even take that. I can't think of what, it's not a crest. I guess it's a crown. I don't know. But if you wanted to make your beak, that beak kind of looks eagle-y or hawkish right now. So I'm going to trim it off a little bit. Okay. So now we might look more like we're in a farmyard, a funky farmyard, rather than a eagle, big old eagle's nest. All right, so I am going to let this dry. And when I come back, I will be adding all the fun details. In the meantime, if you don't have painted paper to work with, you should definitely go watch the video on just different fun, crazy ways to make painted paper. You will always, love having a stash of it around. I use it all the time, whether it's as a background or and collaging just like this. Look, you might put that right there. There's no end. There's absolutely no end to what you can do with painted paper. I may put that right on top so it's a little bit brighter. So we're going to let this baby dry, and we're going to come back, and then we're going to do the background and all the fun detailing, and we will get glitter out too. So see you very shortly. Well, I said I was going to let it dry, and then I got out the red paint and a little white, and I thought, no, I think I'll just play with this. So I'm going to add some red around there. And then I thought, well, I'm going to add some polka dots, just loosey-goosey around the eye. And then I might decide to come in here and add just some more red with a white paint, just to kind of tie it in a little bit. And I'm doing this while that matte medium is wet. So I just want to show you how I was doing this really quick. Just a little here and there. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy, nothing fancy. Okay, so now I'm going to let this chicken rooster hybrid thing dry, and I'll be back. Boop. And stop. Okay, we are back for phase 2, and our chicken has rooster fowl of some sort has dried rather nicely, and we're going to add all the fun stuff now. We're going to start with the paint markers, and then maybe go into a little glitter perhaps, and then I'll show you how to do the nice chicken wire pattern on the background. So you can take scissors if you have feathers kind of running off the edge like I do. You could always trim those off, but I think I'm going to start with white today. I love this white paint pen. Let's see. Let me make sure he's going. Come on. Yeah, we got some white. Okay, I'm going to put some feathering lines in. I'm going to do it on the pink pieces of paper, just to kind of tie this in a little bit. So wherever you see kind of the pinky orange paper, I'm going to put some little feather looking lines. Oh, that's probably good. I might take this white right here. I might put eyelashes around my bird. My crazy bird. I might take this blue. I need to form an eye of some sort. I don't want that one. I may just come in the middle. I don't know, because my other chicken had a blue eye. I might just kind of color in a big old eye section right here. And I'm going to add some black maybe. That is totally up to you. Let me just put some black in there. That kind of looks like a chicken eye. How about that? You could split the beak. And just kind of go around it real loosely. You don't have to be real tight, remember. You could take your marker, hold it by the end, and really just go loosely with the feathering. Okay. Can make it more feathers up here. You could take that marker and loosey-goosey around that crown to really set it apart. You could go around the eye. You could put some more dots around the eye. Okay, remember this is your bird right here. All right, this one's looking pretty good already. I like it. I also have this really cool gold paint pen, and it's made by Deco Color Premium Prime Primo, and it's the best gold I have ever discovered. I ordered it from Amazon, but I'm gonna put some gold in here. gold little flecks. Make sure I got that baby working here. Sometimes you really have to make sure you shake them up, especially if they sit for a little while. And they'll get a little juicy. There we go. So maybe you just put like a few dots here and there, little dashes, like maybe on the orange sections, but you can really, well, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but you can really see these little gold accents. Let's put a little gold accent in his eye. How about that? And maybe a little gold up here. Why not? A little gold on his crown. Love it. Love it. So to make your cage, your chicken wire in the back, you are going to need a little piece of cardboard. And let's see here. By the beauty of all my junk, I have some. Imagine that. So here's a little piece of cardboard. I'm going to cut it, and not too big. This is a little bit larger than an inch. I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to use white like I used. Make sure my camera doesn't fall down here. Squirt some white out. And you're going to start by, I call inking the edge, getting the edge good and painted. And we'll start at the top, okay? And we're making a pattern like so. Now, if this would have been easier to do, you know, first and then put the chicken over, of course it would. But I didn't. You could also use, see how I'm coming back and doing the opposite. You could also use you could use that gold paint marker. You could use a paint marker if you wanted to. I think stamping, if you wanted to put something like this in the background, I think stamping is so easy. And, you know, you can see I'm not going in and touching every single piece, you know, that needs to be. It's not going all the way to Mr. Rooster here. But, oopsie, and that one's always crooked. That's okay. But it gives the impression of, you know, chicken wire. Like he's in his little habitat here. Alright, and see, I got a little crazy on the ends, but that's okay. Ta-da! I like it. I think it looks pretty cool in the background. Even with that old messy blob, that's no big deal. So, you could do that stamping first. You could go back in once it's dry. You know, don't do it wet. You could put little accents in here if you wanted to on every other one, you know. It really doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. It's your artwork. But have fun. And remember, you're taking 3 or 4 different color papers. You're tearing strips. Color scheme we talked about in the last class with the fish. Look at a magazine, look at children's books, pull from those colors. I just pulled out my file of painted paper, and I thought, what would work well together? What colors would talk to each other? What would, you know, kind of dance on the paper? When I look at this composition, I see the orange. The orange really pops out. So that's, you know, that's my main color. That's my focal point right here of the rooster's head. And it carries on throughout the piece. So I cannot wait to see what feathered friends you come up with this week. These are just fun. You could do, you know, you could do them right facing rooster, left facing. You could do one head on. Especially if you Google some pictures of, let me see if I can find a piece of paper, of a rooster or a chicken. Think about that shape right there, that U, okay? And it could come in a little bit. Your beak is going to be a V, well, a V, and then an upside down one. You know, eyes, you know, what have you. They don't have to be, we're not in for detail. Okay, we're not doing animal illustrations here. But you could have a couple ladies, a couple hens sitting in their little hen house, you know, the boss ladies. I think that'd be cute. But have fun, and I can't wait to see what you make. And enjoy this one. I think you're going to love it. See you next time. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Glitter. I can't get out here without glitter. So this is just a glitter paint. It's clear paint with glitter in it. You could take this and just hit different aspects. And when it dries clear, but it's got some of this gold glitter in it. Cannot forget the glitter. I think I picked this up at Target or somewhere. It was really, really super cheap. But you can see how it dries on the top, that dripped. So it dries gold and glittery. So Lord, don't forget the glitter. Have fun with the glitter. All right, this is it. Bye.